Hey guys! Are you ready to go on a virtual hike through the Bosque and visit the Rio Grande River? All right, let's do this. The Bosque is a forest of cottonwood trees. Here in New Mexico, we have the longest uninterrupted forest of cottonwood trees in the whole world. Look at these beautiful trees. By the way, most of these pictures were taken by fourth graders here in Albuquerque. Nice job. So how do we identify a cottonwood tree? Cottonwoods have heart-shaped leaves that look like this. The bark of the tree is thick and a grayish brown. If you pick up a fallen branch and you break it at the knuckle, you will find a star shape inside. Cool, right? In the summertime, the forest is green and full of shade created by the big leaves. In the fall, the cottonwoods turn a bright golden yellow. If you haven't seen the Bosque in the fall, please take a walk in the forest in October. It's so pretty. In the springtime, trees are bursting with seed and pollen. The forest is coming back to life. Did you know that there are male and female cottonwood trees? The males produce red catkins that look like this. The catkins release pollen, and the wind carries that pollen to the female cottonwood trees, which allow the females to produce seed. Maybe you've seen the fluffy white cottonwood seeds floating in the air in the month of May. Millions of these seeds float through the forest, and every year we hope that some of the seeds will land right next to the river and grow into baby cottonwood trees. These cottonwoods used to have an easier time growing in the Bosque because the river used to flood. That means the river water would spill over into the forest and all the trees and seedlings got the water they needed. But people who had houses near the river got tired of dealing with the flooding, and in the 1920s began designing ways to stop the river from flooding. The last great flood in the Bosque was in 1941. That's a long time ago. Stopping the river from flooding may be good for people and their houses, but is it good for the forest? No. If you have a booklet, pause the video here and answer the question for stop 1. Some trees have been growing here for thousands of years. We call the trees native species. Cottonwoods are native to New Mexico. There are also non-native plants and trees that were brought from other places that can harm this ecosystem. One example of a non-native plant is salt cedar. Salt cedar is problematic to the Bosque because it grows very fast, and it takes all the water and nutrients and space and sunshine away from the other plants. Each salt cedar plant sucks up about 200 gallons of water every day. It takes the water from the river and it stores salt in its leaves. That's why it's called salt cedar. When the plant sheds its leaves in the winter, the leaves make the soil so salty that it ruins the dirt for other plants. You can see why salt cedar is not good for the Bosque. If you have a booklet, pause the video and answer question for stop 2. There are all different animals living in our Bosque. There are rabbits and porcupines, beavers, coyote, frogs, mice, snakes, bats, weasels, and many species of birds. Each animal has a unique home, and it's fun to look for animal homes. Who sleeps in this burrow? Looks like a rabbit's home. What about this one? Is this a home too? Yep, it's a hummingbird nest. Look at these baby hummingbirds born in the spring. They're so tiny. This home is a beaver dam. And this one? A Cooper's hawk nest. What about this little hole in the ground? That was where a cicada nymph crawled out of the ground to climb onto a tree and shed its exoskeleton. Pause here to answer questions for stop 3. If you don't see animals on your hike, you can always look for animal tracks or animal scat. Remember that wild animals are afraid of people, so when they hear us coming, they'll run and hide. I think I see porcupine scat. Yep, this is definitely porcupine scat. It looks like brown jelly beans. That means there's a porcupine nearby. Where do you think it might be? Aha! There he is! A porcupine is sleeping high up in the tree. Most people in New Mexico don't realize that porcupines live in the cottonwoods. But if you look carefully, you will find one, and most likely it will be sleeping. You will need binoculars to see its face. Aw, how cute! Porcupines are nocturnal, so they sleep all day and they wake up at night. They're covered in 30,000 needles called quills. The only part of the body that does not have needles is its nose and belly. The needles are a great defense mechanism so that other animals cannot harm them. But don't worry, porcupines cannot shoot their quills at you like they do in cartoons. It's safe to stand under a tree and watch a porcupine. What do you think porcupines eat? They love to eat the cambium on the cottonwood trees. This is the soft part of the tree underneath the hard bark. If you see trees with bark removed from branches, you can bet a porcupine has been nibbling on it. Porcupines are rodents, and rodents have to nibble on things constantly because their teeth never stop growing. Did you know that? Pause the video here to answer questions for stop 4. The Bosque ecosystem is made of living and non-living things. The non-living parts are soil, water, air, and sunshine. All of our energy comes from the sun. The living parts of our ecosystem are producers, consumers, and decomposers. The producers are the plants and trees that we've talked about. They are really the superheroes of our ecosystem because they can take the sunlight, air, water, and earth and produce food and shelter for the consumers. Who are the consumers, you ask? All the animals, including people. You're a consumer. If you have a mouth, then you're a consumer. So what are the decomposers? Decomposers are bacteria and fungus that break down the dead organic material and put nutrients back into the soil. Can you see bacteria? Nope, not without a microscope. But you can see evidence that the bacteria is doing its job whenever you find a lacy leaf. A lacy leaf is a cottonwood leaf that's been eaten by bacteria. Isn't it beautiful? The bacteria ate the soft parts of the leaf and left the hard skeleton behind. It's kind of like when you eat a slice of pizza and you leave the crust. What is the growth on this tree? It's a decomposer called shelf fungus. Shelf fungus grows on the side of dying trees or fallen branches. And believe it or not, this fungus has an important job to do. It helps break down the dead cottonwoods and put the nutrients back into the soil so that new life can grow. It's time to pause the video and go to stop number 5. And here we are, the Rio Grande River. Ah, it's so peaceful here. Students who visit the Rio Grande say they love sitting by the river and watching the birds. So why do we have a river in the middle of our desert? Well, in the springtime when the snow melts in the mountains of Colorado, the water runs down the mountains and flows all the way through our state of New Mexico, forming the Rio Grande. Without the snow melt, we wouldn't have a river. After it flows through New Mexico, it creates the border between Texas and Mexico. And then it flows into the Gulf of Mexico and then to the Atlantic Ocean. You can see it on this map. It's almost 2,000 miles long. Coyotes come here to drink, and it provides a habitat for blue heron and sandhill cranes and ducks and geese and even eagles. In Albuquerque, we all depend on this water. Did you know that most of our drinking water comes from the Rio Grande? Pause here for stop number 6 on your booklet. What's on the beach? Someone left a plastic bottle here. Sadly, human beings have impacted the river and the Bosque in some negative ways. When people leave trash on the ground, the rain carries the trash to the river, and the river carries our trash to the ocean. We want to keep trash out of the Rio Grande to protect our water and the animals. So please, don't pollute. Always throw your trash away in trash cans. Another way to protect the Bosque is if you walk your dogs, always pick up the dog poop. When people don't clean up after their dogs, a dangerous bacteria called E. coli ends up in our river, and we don't want that in our drinking water, do we? What do you think happened in this area? Yes, a forest fire. Most fires in the Bosque are started by people. In the dense vegetation of the Bosque, fires can climb quickly, from the burning leaves to the branches of big trees. And before you know it, there's a wall of flames 50 feet tall that cannot be put out with water. We lose our precious cottonwoods very quickly when people start fires. This is why fire is illegal in the Bosque. Here's stop number 7, your final stop for writing in your booklet. I hope you've enjoyed this walk in the woods. The forest is for everyone to enjoy, and as you have learned, we all rely on the water in the Rio Grande River, so let's take good care of it. And if you have the chance to go for a real hike in the Bosque, please do it. All the trails along the river are free and open to the public. The porcupines are waiting for you.